Forgotten in the stars. The galaxy had moved on without them. Records in ancient archives listed humanity as extinct, erased from every council memory, as if Earth and its people had never walked under the stars. Alien historians spoke of humans, only in whispers, describing them as reckless, fragile, and short-lived. They said humans could not survive in a galaxy ruled by giants with stronger armies and older civilizations. Over time, their name was deleted from official maps, their worlds left unmarked, their history reduced to a rumor. To the galaxy, humans were nothing but a mistake that time had corrected. But far away, deep beneath Earth's quiet surface, the truth was very different. Humanity had not died. It had hidden. In forgotten underground bunkers far below the ruins of old cities, survivors had endured the silence. Generations were born in shadows, raised not with tales of weakness, but with memories of betrayal. They remembered how alien empires had laughed when Earth begged for peace, how human colonies were crushed, and how fleets from Earth were burned in the sky. Children were taught one lesson above all others. The galaxy may have erased them, but Earth remembered. That memory was fire, and it was kept alive in every heart, waiting for the moment when silence would end. Above them, the galaxy grew arrogant. Alien lords sat in glittering halls, believing no trace of humans remained. Councils debated wars. Between empires, merchants fought over trade routes, and admirals pushed their fleets across the stars with the confidence of predators at the top of the chain. When someone mentioned humans, laughter filled the chamber. The frail species, they said, a brief light already gone. But while the galaxy mocked, they never asked themselves one question. What if Earth had not truly fallen? That single doubt, ignored and buried, would one day return to consume them. The first sign was small, almost meaningless. An alien patrol, ship traveling through the outer rim of the galaxy, picked up a strange signal. At first, the crew thought it was background noise from a dying star. But as the signal grew stronger, a young officer noticed patterns. Words formed inside the static. The language was old, unfamiliar to most of the crew, but one word was clear: Earth. Terrified, the officer reported it to her captain, but the captain dismissed her. Humans are gone. Do not repeat this again, he warned. The crew obeyed, but fear spread among them because they all knew the truth. No language once erased should ever return. In the darkness of Earth's hidden bases, warriors were preparing. They had been training for decades, building strength in silence. Their technology no longer resembled the weak ships that once burned in alien skies. Instead, they had developed weapons unseen in the galaxy, ships that bent light, engines that could strike across impossible distances, armor that absorbed energy like water. But more powerful than their weapons was their will. Every soldier, every commander, every child who grew in the bunkers carried the same burning memory. The galaxy forgot us, but we will make them remember. The leaders of Earth were no longer politicians dressed in suits. They were survivors forged in steel and shadows. The High Commander, an old man whose family line traced back to the first massacres, stood before his people and spoke in simple words. They thought we were gone. They thought our fire was cold, but the stars will burn with our return. We will not beg. We will not wait. We will descend, and they will remember us in fire. His voice echoed through the chamber, met with thunderous silence, not of fear, but of unbroken determination. Far away, alien spies reported strange movements in dead systems. Mining stations vanished without explanation. Merchant ships spoke of shadows moving near asteroid belts, shadows that did not belong to any known fleet. Some whispered of warships painted black with no insignia, no markings, and no mercy. The councils argued again. Some dismissed it as stories made by smugglers. Others grew nervous, demanding investigations. But before they could agree, another signal appeared, this time broadcast directly into a major alien capital. The message was short, the letters sharp and clear, in a language not spoken for centuries. It said only this: "We remember." Panic spread like fire across the galaxy. Ordinary citizens began to tell old stories of humans, stories their grandparents had whispered before sleep, Tales of strange courage, of impossible survival, of warriors who fought with madness in their eyes. Fear gripped the leaders. What if those stories were true? What if humans had never vanished, only waited? They called emergency meetings, swore to strengthen their fleets, and laughed nervously in their halls. But deep down they already knew. The ghosts of Earth were real, and soon they would come. Back on Earth, silence ended. The bunkers opened. The skies thundered with the roar of engines, and warships hidden for centuries rose into orbit. Soldiers stood at attention, their armor black and red, their helmets reflecting fire. They were not the same humans the galaxy once mocked. They were stronger, harder, and ready. A single order was given, carried through the fleet. It is time. As the first warship disappeared into the void, the galaxy had no idea what storm was coming. And so it began. The return of Earth's warriors, born in shadow, armed with fire, and carrying the one memory the galaxy had tried to erase. Humanity was forgotten, but now it would be remembered in the most terrible way. The first strike. The galaxy's leaders believed fear could be contained with words. They sat inside their grand halls, surrounded by guards, and told themselves that humans were only a story, a trick of signals, a rumor spread by smugglers who wanted higher prices for their goods. But deep inside they could not escape the feeling that something was moving in the dark, something old, something angry, something they had tried to erase. They wanted to believe humanity was weak, but the first strike was already on its way, silent and unstoppable. It began with a convoy, 20 alien ships filled with resources and weapons, traveling through a calm sector on their way to a military outpost. To them, it was a routine mission. The crews joked, drank, and sent messages home, never imagining they would be the first to face the forgotten warriors of Earth. When the attack came, it was like nothing they had seen before. Shadows appeared around them, ships that did not exist on their scanners until it was too late. Black vessels moved without sound, cloaked in technology no one in the galaxy understood. Before the convoy could react, the stars lit up in fire. The alien commander screamed orders demanding his fleet return fire. But their weapons locked, their systems went dark, and their engines froze. In seconds, Earth's warships had shut down the entire convoy with a power that seemed impossible. Then the first blast came, a beam of burning energy that cut through the lead ship like paper. Screams filled the comms, but there was no mercy, no hesitation. One by one, the convoy was destroyed, and the last thing every alien officer heard before their ships were consumed was a single human voice transmitted into their cabins. The voice said, "Earth remembers." News spread faster than light. Survivors in escape pods were picked up days later by patrols, shaking, broken, and unable to speak. When they finally found the strength, their words were the same. Humans. They are back. They are monsters. Across the galaxy, panic became real. What had been rumors became undeniable truth. A dead species had returned, and they had returned in fire. Inside the alien councils, fear turned into chaos. Some demanded immediate war, calling for fleets to burn any system that showed even the smallest sign of human activity. Others argued that humans were too dangerous, that provoking them further would only invite death. But the galaxy was not united. Pride blinded them. They believed numbers would protect them. They forgot that humans had never needed numbers to win. While the galaxy argued, Earth prepared for its next move. Deep within the command chambers of the hidden fleet, human generals stood before giant star maps. Red marks glowed across alien territories. Each mark a world that had once laughed at Earth's weakness. Each world that had once profited from human suffering. The High Commander raised his hand and spoke in a voice that carried no doubt. They thought we would beg for mercy. They thought erasing us would break us. Now they will learn. We will not attack their borders. We will not take their outposts. We will strike at the heart. His eyes burned with fire, and the room filled with silent determination. The first strike had been a warning. The next would be a lesson. The chosen target was bold, reckless, and terrifying, a capital world of one of the galaxy's oldest empires. Billions lived there, and fleets guarded it day and night. To the aliens, it was untouchable, safe, eternal. But to Earth's warriors, it was the perfect stage. If they struck here, the entire galaxy would see that no world, no matter how strong, was beyond their reach. The decision was made. The order was given. In the quiet of space, Earth's fleet prepared. Ships rose from their hidden bases, their black hulls swallowing light, their weapons humming with silent power. Soldiers stood ready inside, armored and focused, carrying weapons that no alien had ever seen before. There was no fear in their eyes, only the memory of their ancestors who had once been mocked, slaughtered, and erased. They carried that memory like fire in their hearts, and they were ready to unleash it. When the attack began, the alien capital did not even realize it was under threat. The sky was calm, the fleets in orbit relaxed. Then, without warning, the stars shifted. Dozens of human warships appeared from the void, emerging out of nothing, cloaked until the final second. Alarms screamed across the planet. Commanders shouted for defenses, but by the time the fleets moved, it was already too late. The first human strike came with terrifying precision. Orbital stations exploded in fire, their wreckage raining down onto the planet's surface. Alien fleets rushed forward, but their weapons could not lock onto human ships. Every time they tried to strike, the targets vanished, reappearing behind them, cutting through their hulls with brutal beams. The sky above the capital turned red, lit by explosions, filled with the cries of dying soldiers. On the surface, citizens looked up in horror. They saw black ships tearing through the proud defenses they had always believed were unbreakable. Panic spread across the streets. Some screamed, some prayed, and some whispered words they had never spoken before. Humans. The forgotten name was now alive again, written in fire across their sky. The battle did not last long. In less than an hour, the fleets that had once been called invincible were nothing but burning wrecks. Human warships hovered in silence, their presence heavier than thunder. Then once again the message came, broadcast across every channel, into every home, every soldier's ear, every citizen's heart. The galaxy may have erased us, but Earth remembers. And now, so will you. As the smoke rose and silence returned, one truth spread like a storm across the galaxy. Humanity was not just alive. Humanity was power. Humanity was vengeance. Humanity had returned. Fear. Across the galaxy had known wars before. Empires had clashed, fleets had burned, and worlds had fallen, but this was different. This was not just another conflict over trade, borders, or pride. This was something older, darker, and far more dangerous. A species that had been erased from history had returned, and they had returned with fire. Every capital, every throne, room, every hidden chamber of power was filled with one word whispered like a curse. Humans, alien rulers who once sat with arrogance, now shook with fear. They called secret meetings, gathering in chambers protected by armies, trying to understand what had happened. How could a dead species destroy fleets that had ruled for centuries? How could they strike at the heart of a capital world and vanish before anyone could respond? Some argued that humans had made alliances with other species. Others believed they had found ancient weapons buried in the ruins of forgotten civilizations. But the truth was more terrifying than all their guesses. Humans had not borrowed strength. They had created it. Alone, in silence, without allies, they had built power that the galaxy could not match. Citizens across the galaxy began to tell stories. In the streets of alien cities, children whispered of black ships that appeared without warning, of warriors who fought without fear, of a name once deleted now burning brighter than ever. Merchants spoke of ruined convoys, of entire fleets lost without explanation. Some claimed to have seen human soldiers on abandoned colonies, their eyes cold and unyielding, their weapons cutting through metal like fire through cloth. The stories grew, and with them grew fear. Fear that spread faster than light, deeper than any war ever had. In the halls of one great empire, the supreme chancellor shouted at his generals, "You told me they were gone. You told me they were erased. Explain to me how a dead race brings fire to my skies." His generals stood in silence, unable to answer. Reports lay scattered on the floor, each one more impossible than the last. Convoys destroyed, stations burning, fleets vanishing. Finally, one old general spoke with a voice heavy with shame. "We underestimated them. We thought they were finished. But the truth is, humans never die easy." Meanwhile, in the shadows of space, humanity prepared its next move. Earth's commanders did not celebrate their victories. They knew the galaxy was vast and their enemies were many. Every strike they made was precise, calculated, and cold. They chose targets not for resources but for fear. They understood the psychology of war better than their enemies ever could. They knew that a single blow in the right place could shake an empire more than 1,000 destroyed ships. They had been the hunted once, and they remembered what it meant to feel powerless. Now they turned that memory into a weapon. The galaxy's fleets gathered. Massive armadas stretched across systems, filled with ships larger than cities, armed, with weapons that had crushed countless civilizations. Admirals boasted that they would erase humanity once and for all. But deep inside, doubt consumed them. Their soldiers remembered the capital world burning, their fleets cut down in minutes, their weapons useless against shadows. They could prepare their ships, they could summon their armies, but they could not erase the fear in their hearts. Fear that the next time the black ships appeared, it would be their home burning in the sky. And then came the second great message. Broadcast across the galaxy, unstoppable, breaking through every defense, every firewall, every system. A human voice, calm and steady, speaking in dozens of alien languages, so no one could mistake the meaning. "You tried to erase us, you tried to bury our name, but we are Earth. We are humanity, and we have returned. We will strike not for conquest, but for memory. You will never forget us again." The effect was devastating. Entire colonies began to riot. Soldiers refused to fight, terrified of facing the ghosts of Earth. On one world, an alien admiral defected, sending secret transmissions to humanity, begging for mercy. He had seen humans once before, long ago, and he swore he would rather serve them than fight them. The galaxy was no longer united against Earth. It was breaking apart, collapsing under the weight of its own fear. But fear alone was not enough. Some rulers still clung to pride. They believed numbers would save them, that the weight of thousands of fleets would crush humanity. In their arrogance, they ordered an alliance, a gathering of empires, a coalition of power never before seen. Hundreds of fleets, millions of soldiers united with one goal: to destroy Earth forever. To them, it was the final solution. To humanity, it was the perfect opportunity. Because while the galaxy prepared for open war, Earth was already inside their walls. Human operatives had infiltrated their systems, their networks, their councils. Secrets flowed back to the High Command. They knew where the fleets were gathering, they knew the weaknesses in the defenses, and they knew exactly how to strike when the moment came. For the galaxy, this was their final attempt to erase humanity. For Earth, it was the beginning of the reckoning. The galaxy was drowning in fear, but they had not yet understood the full truth. Humanity was not fighting for revenge alone. Humanity was fighting for something far more dangerous: remembrance. And in their fight to be remembered, they would stop at nothing. The reckoning, the galaxy was no longer calm. Where once alien fleets had patrolled with confidence, now every ship trembled when entering dark space. Where once rulers had laughed at the memory of humans, now they spoke that name in whispers, fearing their own voices would summon fire. Yet even as fear spread like a storm, the galaxy prepared its largest strike. Armadas gathered, worlds armed themselves, and empires promised that the nightmare would end. They would crush Earth once and for all. But while they dreamed of victory, humanity was already writing the next chapter: the reckoning. On Earth's hidden command station, war maps glowed in red and gold. Generals stood around them, their eyes hard, their voices steady. The High Commander spoke with quiet fire. They gather their fleets because they think numbers will protect them. They forget what we have already taught them. This is not about numbers. This is not about weapons. This is about memory. They erased us, and for that we will strike at their pride. We will show them what it means to be remembered. Around him, soldiers bowed their heads, their fists clenched against their hearts, ready to unleash the storm. The first target was chosen not for strategy, but for meaning. It was a world that had once mocked Earth's pleas for help. A world that had profited from selling human colonies into slavery when humanity was weak. For generations, they believed their sins were buried with the humans they betrayed. But Earth never forgot. And now Earth's warriors would return, not in silence but in fire. The attack came at dawn when the alien city was still glowing under its artificial suns. Without warning, the sky ripped apart. Human warships appeared, black against the light, their weapons humming like thunder before a storm. The alien defense fleet rushed forward, but their ships crumbled under the first wave of fire. Energy shields collapsed, engines failed, and explosions lit the horizon. Panic filled the city below. The proud towers shook as debris rained from the heavens. The people screamed, their faith in their rulers breaking as easily as their walls. But this time humanity did not stop at the fleets. Dropships descended through the smoke, their hulls glowing red as they pierced the atmosphere. From inside, human soldiers emerged, armored in black and steel, their steps heavy with purpose. They moved through the alien streets with precision, cutting through resistance without hesitation. The aliens who once laughed at humanity now fled before them, their eyes wide with terror. Some begged for mercy, but the soldiers of Earth carried no forgiveness. They were not here to conquer, they were here to remember. In the center of the city stood a palace, a monument to the wealth and arrogance of its rulers. For centuries it had stood untouched, a symbol of power. But now, as human soldiers stormed its gates, the palace shook. The alien governor, trembling in his throne room, demanded to know why the humans had come. The answer came from a soldier, whose voice echoed through the hall. Because you erased us. Because you thought our fire was gone. We are Earth, and we are your reckoning. Moments later, the palace fell in flames, its towers collapsing into ash. News of the destruction spread faster than light. Across the galaxy, rulers stared at their screens in horror. Entire populations began to question their leaders, asking if they too would fall under Earth's fire. Some worlds surrendered before a single human ship appeared, raising flags of peace in desperate hope that they would be spared. But humanity was not striking randomly. Every target was chosen, every world selected for its role in the old betrayal. Earth was not interested in mindless destruction. Earth was teaching the galaxy a lesson, that memory cannot be erased, and that those who mocked it would pay. Fear turned into collapse. Alliances broke apart as rulers accused each other of hiding secrets. Soldiers deserted, unwilling to fight against an enemy that seemed unstoppable. And yet, even in their terror, the galaxy tried one last plan. They gathered their strongest fleets, their most powerful weapons, their oldest champions, and forged a single armada, larger than anything seen in history. It was to be their final stand. If they destroyed this human threat, the galaxy could breathe again. If they failed, everything would fall. Humanity knew this armada was coming. They wanted it to come. For years, they had prepared for this moment, building weapons that had never been tested, technologies born from desperation and rage. In secret chambers, engineers whispered about devices that could bend stars, weapons that could turn entire fleets into dust in seconds. But more powerful than any weapon was the will of humanity itself. They had been erased once. They would never allow it again. As Earth's warriors stood ready, the High Commander gave his final words before the battle. They thought we would beg. They thought we would break. But we are the children of fire, and today we burn the galaxy's pride to ash. Let them come with their millions. Let them come with their champions. They will learn the truth of Earth. They will learn the truth of humanity. We are not forgotten. We are not erased. We are the reckoning. And with that, the fleets of Earth moved into the stars, heading straight for the largest armada in galactic history. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the clash that would decide everything. Earth's return in fire. The galaxy had gathered everything it had. Across 1,000 worlds, fleets had been pulled from their patrols, armies had been taken from their posts, and weapons hidden for centuries were brought into the light. They called it the Great Armada, the last shield of civilization. Over. 1,000,000 ships stood ready, filling the void with endless firepower. To alien rulers, this was their chance to erase humanity once and for all. To the people watching from their cities and colonies, it was hoped that the nightmare would finally end. But to Earth's warriors, it was the moment they had been waiting for, the final stage of remembrance. In the silence of deep space, the human fleet prepared. Their ships were fewer, their numbers small compared to the endless alien armada. Yet in the command chambers of Earth's flagships, no fear was spoken. Soldiers moved with calm precision, engineers checked weapons with steady hands, and commanders stood ready as if they had already seen the outcome. For them, this battle was not about survival, it was about destiny. They had carried the memory of their erased people for generations. Now that memory would be written in fire across the stars. The galaxy expected humans to charge recklessly, to attack with desperation, to prove once again that they were fragile and reckless. But when the first move came, it was nothing like the galaxy had imagined. Human ships vanished from scanners, slipping through invisible folds of space. Entire wings of the Great Armada fired blindly into the void, striking nothing but shadows, and then, without warning, the first alien dreadnought exploded from the inside out. No human ship had touched it, no missile had hit it. Humanity had sent infiltrators long before the battle began, planting silent weapons that now awoke. Panic spread through the alien fleets as ship after ship burst into fire. But this was only the beginning. From the darkness, human warships emerged, their black hulls glowing with red energy. They struck with precision, tearing through ships 10 times their size. Alien admirals screamed for their forces to regroup, to surround, to overwhelm. But every formation collapsed the moment it was made. Humans moved like ghosts, striking and vanishing, their weapons bending light, their engines outrunning every pursuit. It was not a battle. It was a slaughter. On the ground, across countless worlds, citizens watched in horror as their invincible fleets burned. Broadcasts showed human ships cutting through their defenses, their black silhouettes, like blades against the stars. Fear turned into despair. The galaxy had promised them victory, but now they saw only destruction. The word spread again, faster and stronger than before. Humans. A name once erased was now spoken by billions, no longer a curse, but a legend. Yet, the Great Armada was not finished. At its heart stood the largest warship ever built, a fortress the size of a moon, armed with weapons designed to tear planets apart. Its commander, an emperor of 3 empires, declared that humanity would fall by his hand. He sent waves of fire against Earth's fleet, cutting down several human ships in brutal blasts. For a moment it seemed the galaxy's pride might hold. But then the humans revealed their final secret. At the center of the human fleet, a colossal ship moved forward, larger than anything humanity had ever shown before. Its hull was black as night, its weapons glowing with energy brighter than suns. It was not just a warship, it was a symbol, a creation born from centuries of pain, a vessel carrying the will of every forgotten soul. They called it the Remembrance. When it fired, the galaxy changed forever. A beam of energy erupted, not like any weapon seen before. It passed through shields, armor, and space itself, ripping the Great Armada apart in a single strike. Dozens of ships vanished instantly, turned into ash and silence. The alien fortress trembled, its defenses collapsing under the impossible force. The Emperor screamed in denial, but his voice was lost as the remembrance struck again, shattering his ship into dust. The battle was over. The Great Armada, the galaxy's final hope, was gone. The survivors fled in chaos, their pride broken, their courage destroyed. Humanity stood victorious, their fleet scarred but unbroken, their warriors silent but burning with triumph. Across the stars, the message was clear. Humanity was not weak, not erased, not forgotten. They had returned, and they had written their return in fire. In the aftermath, alien rulers surrendered without demands. Worlds that once mocked humanity now begged for mercy. And though the warriors of Earth could have destroyed them all, they chose something greater. They demanded remembrance. Every archive was rewritten, every map corrected, every history retold. The name of humanity was carved back into the galaxy, not as victims, but as warriors who rose from nothing to strike fear into empires. The High Commander stood aboard the Remembrance, looking out at the stars. His voice was quiet, but it carried across the fleet. They erased us. They thought memory could die. But we have shown them the truth. We are Earth. We are humanity. And we will never be forgotten again. His words echoed in the silence, a promise that would live forever. And so, the galaxy learned the final lesson, that you can erase names from records, you can bury memories under lies, but you cannot destroy the fire of a people who refuse to be forgotten. Humanity had returned in fire, and the stars themselves would remember.